to EG Bible School. I'm your host, Pastor Darren Tinsley. And as you've seen from our opening screen, we have some exciting things to talk about Trinidad and Tobago and our missionary outpost there. We have some pictures that we would also like to be able to show you to give you an update of some of the things that we've been doing. Many of you know that I've gone to Trinidad 2 times now. The first time I went, we hosted a series of meetings. And as a result of those meetings, things began to blossom and begin to open up. And we saw a necessity of being able to extend the work and be able to make a real imprint there in Trinidad with the souls who are open for truth and longing for guidance. And so with that, the doors opened up where we were able to begin building, I should say, a missionary outpost center there. And we're going to, again, show some pictures in a moment. But I just want to give you some backdrops on how this actually came about. Many of you know that, and I have mentioned some of this before, but a family reached out to me. I believe it was last year. They reached out to me and they wanted to do Bible studies. You know, they had joined the church, but they had not really understood the simplicity of the gospel. You know, they knew all of the different things and being taught, pulled to and fro. You know, the church is an apostasy, and this is this and that and this, and that's what they knew concerning Adventism. And they were actually even being pulled by various individuals who believe that the church is Babylon. And so they never really got to understand what is the actual message that God has given to us. Because again, upon joining the church, immediately they were attached or taken in by various individuals who themselves have lost their way. And so as they reached out and as we began to study, we began to talk over the phone, and they began to express a real desire to commit their lives to Christ. And though they were baptized before, they felt as though they did not know really enough. They simply were baptized because they promised a good friend that they would, and they were baptized, not really understanding, and no one even followed up and began to nurture them in the ways of truth. But they had watched a camp meeting that was conducted in Orlando with Pastor Andrew Enriquez, Pastor Kofer, and myself. And we did that camp meeting there in Orlando, and that's how they became acquainted with me. And so after the camp meeting, some time after that, they actually reached out and called, and we talked. And they wanted to have Bible study. They began to share their experience of why they were reaching out and some of the things that they really felt impressed that we could do to help in the situation there. And so we began conducting Bible studies via Skype. Others were invited to be in attendance to those studies of where I met the Lewison family and the Jerome family, and some others through those particular online Bible studies via Skype. And the invitation was open, a way was prepared, and I was invited to come to Trinidad. And so as I went, Brother Peter, Brother Vince, Brother Kevin attended me while we did those meetings there. And it was a blessing to be in the home of the family. And as we were there conducting those meetings, the thing that always runs through my mind is, what can we do now? Praise God for these meetings, but what can be done? Because one thing that I understand, we understand about revival and reformation, at least we hear that terminology a lot. And oftentimes we are led to believe that if we do a week of prayer, if we do 2 weeks, we call them revivals for various reasons. People are revived. However, I generally see that as an excitement. And excitement, if led in the right direction, can become a revival that thereby can stimulate the reformation that needs to take place in the individual's life. And oftentimes, those meetings, that excitement doesn't translate always into revival, thereby reformation, thereby, again, change, and an incentive to go and to draw others to an experience of Christ. That excitement is often left to either die. It could become fanatical. There are many things that excitement can come if it is not followed up with an environment of where that precious seed can be nourished. And so, because of my past experiences and being a part of crusades and various things of that nature, I see what an excitement can become if it is not rightly nurtured. And so as I was there, as we were doing these meetings, the thing that was coming through my mind is, what can be done? What can be done to continue to facilitate this sowing of the gospel seed? And as we were there, and as funds were collected, you know, as I was looking at this, and here we are, we've taken up offerings, here this money is. And I said, you know, and this is the thought I was thinking. I was in my room, everyone was out, I was in the room, and thought came to my mind. And I said, you know, this money can be taken back to America. And by time it is converted from TT, Trinidad currency, to Trinidad and Tobago currency, to American currency, so much would have been lost in that conversion process. And I said, how can this money stay in this particular vineyard? How can it stay in this economy and be a blessing here rather than going to America and losing so much? And as I was thinking about that, and I'm just sitting there praying and meditating, and I say, wow, you know what? I really don't want to take this money to America because, again, it's going to be lost. I don't want to take this money. I don't want to take this money. And so as the family came in and we began to talk about different things, the meetings were, I believe the meetings had come to an end. We had one more baptism that we were going to do. We did two while we were there. And as they came in, we began to talk. And I said, you know, and I began to share with them the thoughts that I was having. And, you know, they looked at each other. And Brother Prem looked at me and said, you know, Pastor Tennessee, he said, I was thinking, what can we do now? What can be done now? And I said, you know what? I said, I don't want to take this money. I said, we're going to leave this money here and we're going to do something for the work here. We're going to continue to feed the flock of God here. There's something that can be done. I'm not taking this money back to America. And, you know, and I said, and while we were there, I was asking about their property. They had a beautiful facility, beautiful place where they were in the mountains. And I said, man, you know, this is some beautiful, it would be nice if we can get some land here and maybe just build something. So this way, you know, we can have missionary workers that will be able to come and not come and do the work for the people of Trinidad, but come and actually show the people of Trinidad how they can become missionaries right here in their own country. And they began to say, well, you know, right here. And we began to talk. And as we were praying and as I was, you know, we were thinking about it and meditating on it, you know, we said, yes, let's do it. Let's, you know, something needs to be done. And that is when, again, Brother Prem, Sister Shalene, they went and began immediately finding builders and finding people. And again, it hasn't become easy by no stretch of the imagination. Many different things we have seen fighting against what is happening there and even here. And so as we began to lay the foundation for that, you know, it took my mind back to, I believe, what has been a catalyst in all of this. You know, I told you before, and I want you to notice your screen here. I told you before, I want to read this quotation to us, and then I want us to continue to proceed forward. Notice what it says. It's high time. It says, it's time that church members understand that everywhere there is a work to be done in the Lord's vineyard. No one is to wait for a regular process before they make any efforts. They should take up the work right where they are. There should be many at work in what are called irregular lines. If 100, notice brothers and sisters, if 100 laborers would step out of the regular lines and take up self-sacrificing work, such as Brother Shireman has done, souls would be won to the Lord. And the workers would understand by experience what it means to be laborers together with God. Now, brothers and sisters, again, there's much debate over the irregular lines and what they are, and Brother Shireman and his office, and that's irrelevant for this particular update. But it says souls would be won to the Lord. And I think we miss the point when we start focusing on words and policies and where this is and who this person was and how he did this. We forget that souls are to be won. That is the sum and sum total of why God would have us to move in this particular manner. It's to win souls to Him. The only way souls can be won is there has to be a conversion. Desire of Ages, you always hear me quote it. Desire of Ages 141. No sooner is a soul converted to Christ and there is born within him a desire. When we are converted, this is when this work to win happens. And that is what needs to take place. A thorough conversion needs to take place in all of our hearts. And we will find ourselves debating less and praying and working more. Praying and working, not working alone, but praying and working if we were thoroughly converted. And so this is the key. And then we would understand by experience what it means to be a laborer together with God. This is what God is asking us to do. And so in light of that, what I believe was a catalyst in all this, I mentioned Tres Sol Ingresi, and I'm probably even said that wrong, pardon me. But as you can see here, this is the Three Angel School in Romania. I told you before, reading through the testimonies, reading something, but not able to visualize it because I've never seen what I'm actually reading through in the testimonies. At that particular time, I was going through the testimonies. I believe the first time I went to Romania, I believe at that time, I was in volume, I want to say I was in volume 7, going into volume 8. And I'm reading through, and again, all the time, you know, just making notes and making, jotting down and just, you know, just imagining and just putting notes and just chronicling things. But it came to a point where I said, Lord, what I'm reading, I have not seen it. And brothers and sisters, I've been to many, quote, unquote, self-supporting schools. Not in attendance, but I visited them. And I was there a long enough time to get an understanding of basically how the school runs. I've worked in various parts. I was in California, again, working with the Southern California Conference, not as a direct employee to the Southern California Conference, I might add, but being able to go in and out of the building, being able to go to the conference office and go to the treasurer's office and picking up checks and paying for meeting halls that the church was doing there in Southern California Conference, handling thousands of dollars, paying for buildings and doing all those sort of things, going in and, getting, checks being cut for $15,000, $20,000, going down and paying for buildings, bringing receipts back. So not a direct employee of the Southern California Conference, but being around it enough to understand its ins and outs, sitting in committee meetings, pastoral meetings, conference meetings, sitting in meetings where regional conferences was being discussed with Calvin Rock and Reggie Robinson, giving lengthy PowerPoint presentations, being around all of this, being around those who are not directly, again, employed by the conference, 3ABN, being there, talking with Danny Shelton, again, seeing a lot, brothers and sisters. Laurel Brook in Tennessee and just various places here and there. Sitting down, as it were, at the feet, listening to Colin Standish, all have been around it. John Osborne, Prophecy Countdown, all just bit of Grossball, Steps to Life, been around it, brothers and sisters. And being able to see, again, no swipe at anybody, yet the reality is I'm reading what I do not see. Reading what I do not see. Hearing from Brother Jackson's testimony himself. He came to California and preached at the church I was an elder at, associate pastor, and driving him and his wife around, listening to his testimony of the difficulties of starting Meat Ministry when he started it, not knowing what he knows now, but the difficulties of it, and being around all of this. And again, going through, and I've never visited Meat Ministry other than, again, the conversation that I had with Thomas Jackson there in passing as he came to the church on a number of occasions. But as I'm reading through the testimonies, I'm saying I haven't experienced what I'm reading. I haven't experienced that. And as I'm having this thought in my mind, I go to Romania, and I'm there, not really able to speak because of the language barrier to various people. There's some people that can speak English, but as I'm walking around the campus, I'm back and forth to the room, walking around at times, taking pictures, having a lot of time to be alone, because again, I can't really understand people. And it's like the Lord opens my eyes to say, look. And I began to take it all in. And I began to notice how my vision now was able to resonate with what I was reading. And I'm able to see and say, wow, I'm seeing what I've been reading. And man, it was an inspiring experience there. Being with Brother Andrew. This is the second time I went, and this is just too many pictures right now to show you everything that they're doing on that campus. And I would recommend that you go to this. You can go to this YouTube page. Just type in these letters here. Go to the YouTube page, and they have a video up on their YouTube page where Andrew is sitting down in front of a pulpit. And he's sort of giving the history. Now, unless you can understand Romania, the Romanian language, you're not going to understand anything he says. But in the video, they have pictures of what the school looked like and what it looks like now. And brothers and sisters, if you follow those pictures and you look at all those workers and know that all those workers are students, all of those workers, all of that work done on that campus was done by the students. And so I would, brothers and sisters, I would encourage anybody, I would encourage everybody to go to YouTube, type in this name here, And look at that video that they have up, again, about their mission school. And it should be Andrew. He's sitting in front of a pulpit. He has on a collared shirt, and he's reading his Bible, and he's talking. You may not understand his talk, but you could fast forward it to where they're showing the progress of the school. And it is an inspiring video just to watch, just the pictures alone. And so having been there and seeing that and seeing what they've been able to do, it has been and still is an inspiration to see this work done here in America. But in the meantime, wherever souls are open for this truth, brothers and sisters, the work needs to be done, and it doesn't have to happen in my backyard. I know there's a great work that has to happen here in America, but the door's open for this work to begin there in Trinidad. And so what we began to do is we began to pull all of our resources into that work there in Trinidad. And I just want to, again, take you to the screen and let you look at some of the pictures. This is the location of where the school is actually going to be. It's up in the mountains. You know, this is overlooking the ocean towards Tobago. This is an actual scene of where the property, where the school is actually located. This is a house that's already there. This is Sister Shalene and Brother Prim and their family. This is their home. And they've extended their property for the building of the school. This is a little garden that they have there. And brothers and sisters, they have 2,000 plantain trees on this property. 2,000 plantain trees. Not to mention papaya trees, mango trees, you know, and some other things that I don't even know the name of it. So if anything happened, you talk about living off the land, have mercy. You will be living off the land. And this was our first baptism. Again, people that we baptized, and as I mentioned, that's Brother Philip, that's Brother Vince to the left of me, and Brother Jerome and the families there. And as I mentioned before, I just don't go and preach and do baptisms. People come. There was someone that came up to me and asked for baptism while I was there. And I said, you know, these people that I'm baptizing, it's because, and I gave the reasons why. Because people can come up to you and say, I want to be baptized. You have no idea who these people are, what they believe. And you're baptizing them, giving credibility to some things that they hold that may not be supported by scriptures. Here's our baptism. Here's Philip and Vince assisting people into the water for this baptism. And here we are baptizing next to the ocean, a little place off the ocean. And then we had our second baptism before we left, and we baptized another 7 people. And so as we baptize these souls, and there were others who still want to be baptized. Again, I just recently came from Trinidad. Vince and Philip was there for about 3 months. And I just came back from Trinidad, took with me my son, Nathaniel and Timothy. And there's other people that are interested in baptism. There's other people, young people who want to learn the simplicity. They want to learn the truth of God. They want to be committed to Christ. They want to be engaged in the work of God. And so we realize that there's something to be done, and we are in the process of building that mission school. And so therefore we are going to be preparing people here in the States to be able to go and engage and insist in that work. Now, as I would say, everyone that desires to go is not going to go. Because what we're going to do is we're going to bring people in initially here and go through a training process so that when they are selected to go and participate in that missions, they will have an understanding. Because I think a lot of people are excited about working for God, but they don't understand what the work of God entails. And many people have to have this re-education. Not even re-education. Some people have to be initially educated on what does it mean to be a missionary for Christ. It's more than just grabbing a book and grabbing a tract and dropping a book in someone's lap and putting a tract under someone's window, on their windshield, under their window wiper. Being a missionary is much more than that. And so there is a work mentally, spiritually, that has to happen before we can engage in this type of work. Because in this type of work, this is not a work of applause and accolades. There are people who do missionary work just for the sake of being a missionary celebrity. But this is not what we are seeking to do. This is not what God has outlined us for us to do. The Bible says in the book of Hebrews that we are to go without the gate bearing as a reproach. There's a reproach that comes with standing for Christ in the days in which we're living in. And so as we baptize these souls, we said, what can we do? And that's where we decided that we were going to build a missionary center there. Now, this is the property that is going to be used, going to be used for our missionary school. And this is grown up. There were some things that were planted there that obviously had to be removed. And this is what it used to look like. And this to the left there is what it looked like when it was cleared. And we went from that stage to this stage, to marking out where we were going to dig, where the trenches were going to be put so we could put the foundation. And here you have the trenches being dug and the steel rods being put in the ground so the cement can be poured and it could be held, and the blocks. And so this is the work you see going on here. This is, we got the foundation in. You know, if the foundation be destroyed, have mercy. What can the righteous do? And so we had to lay that foundation and get that in right. And there you see the blocks being built up. And once the foundation was put in and it was dried and was ready, and there you see the walls going up, brick by brick by brick. All right, and that's the front of the building. That is actually where you would enter in, and you're going to see that later in the moment. And again, this is the front view of the building. You see Mike in there. This is the front view of where you're going to walk into the building. And again, inside, those are the walls being put up. And this is what the building looks like as of yesterday. This is that. If you go back, this is that front entrance there. And now you see it all filled in. So you see that's where the door is going to be. That's the hallway you're looking at. And that hallway is going to go all the way back to a kitchen on the right. You turn into a door. There's going to be a kitchen on the right. You go to the left. There's going to be showers. That's going to be there for men and for ladies. All right. Here you are coming into the place where that brick you see there in the back, that is going to be where the restrooms are. And you go to the left, where that left, you're going to be going into the shower areas. And those are rooms that are going to be on the side. You're going to have 1, 2, 3 big rooms. And then you're going to have a little meeting room inside, and that's where the workers will meet and pray and hold their daily Bible studies and worship services. This is where the workers will be able to do that in that meeting room. All right, and this right here is one of the rooms. I'm not sure which room it is, but it's one of them. And as you can see, those square shadows, that's actually the roof going up as we speak. All right, and this is what the building actually looks like as it's going up. So that all that window all the way to the back is going to be your kitchen. That second room is going to be a bedroom, and this first window here is going to be, again, another bedroom. All right, and there's your roof going up on that building. I actually have a drone picture, but it's not actually in these particular slides. All right, and so that's the foundation. That was the foundation going up. And so there you have it. This is the building. If I could leave you with a picture, I would leave you with that picture. This is the building where we're actually building again, a missionary school there in Trinidad. Now, last time I was there, I told the people that I had not made mention of the building because the first time I went to Trinidad, people were trying to keep people from coming to the meetings. And so I know when people hear that we're actually building something, we're actually building a missionary outpost where people are going to be trained to do the Lord's work. I've got this, people are asking, hey, I hear Pastor Tinsley is building a sanitarium. Well, brothers and sisters, this building is going to be used for the work of God in every capacity that God would have us to be able to work. Where there's a great need of true medical missionary work being done, but medical missionary work not being detached from the understanding of the gospel. And many are engaging in what they think is missionary work when they are detaching the health work from the gospel. Again, it is to open the door for the gospel. And many have, again, put things in their improper place. And so, by God's grace, we are endeavoring to get this building finished so that we can be able to house missionary workers. And so the work is still going forth while the building is going up, holding meetings in garages, primarily meeting with non-Adventists. In Trinidad, there's a lot of Hindus, a lot of Muslims. When Brother Vince was there, he conducted a meeting that was attended by Muslims and Hindus who wanted to know the gospel. And so there's a great work, brothers and sisters, that needs to be done. And the work needs to be done in the streets. There's a quotation where the prophet of the Lord says that when you see young men going from church to church, she says they give evidence that they do not have a real burden for the work. And so while our churches do need to be educated and they do need to be ignited and life needs to be brought into them, it is for the sole purpose of doing a work for those who do not understand the truth of this time, that they might have an opportunity to stand and see their Lord in peace. And so again, there's a great work that needs to be done in spite of all the hostility and all the various things that we know and beginning to hear that's happening in Trinidad. But yet there's a great work. There's a great work here to be done in the States. Everyone is not called to be a missionary in some other place. There are mothers and fathers who are called to be missionaries right in their own homes. And yet there are some who are called to be missionaries in the gospel field here in America. And there are some who can go and labor in other places, in other countries. And so, brothers and sisters, our appeal to you is that we're coming to you to let you know what we're doing here at EG Bible School, and also what we're doing at Last Advent. And we want to get this building finished, and we want to be able to begin training workers who are interested in doing the work of God. As I said before, we're not just sending anyone and everybody over to Trinidad. We're going to actually bring people in, take people through courses to really understand what missionary work is, using the Word of God as our textbook, using ministry of healing, using gospel workers, steps to Christ, Christ object lessons, desire of ages, showing people and not only giving you time to pray, but actually showing you how to approach God. This is what all these things are going to be for. And then some, as God lays that mantle upon you, will be able to go and participate in our Trinidad mission. But there are missions opening up all over the place, not just in Trinidad, but in other places, in Canada, and various other places. But in the Lord's time, we will do the work that lies nearest to us. As I mentioned, we have a satellite mission that we're actually starting in Atlanta. And so we're going to be training people to be able just to go into Atlanta and do missionary work, to do missionary work here in the city of Augusta. There's so much work to be done, but the laborers are few. The laborers are few. And so, brothers and sisters, again, if you have a desire to really be a part of and help us, not only financially with this building, but if you have a desire to be a part of missionary labor, to be actively engaged in missionary work. As you can see, the website as it scrolls along the bottom of the page here, but also you can go to our email, which is egbibleschool@gmail.com. Again, that's egbibleschool@gmail.com. You could also call 706-421-7719. So, brothers and sisters, again, we want to say God bless. We want to thank you for watching this video. We pray that it can be an encouragement to you. And until we meet again, God bless.